After Dhritarashtra's question, silence falls on Kurukshetra. A silence before the storm. A silence before the first human emotion arises, fear. And that fear belongs to none other than Duryodhana, the man who wanted everything, yet feared losing it all. Sanjaya's voice begins the divine narration. Sanjaya uvacha, drishtva tu pandavanikam vyudham Duryodhanas tada. Sanjaya says, seeing the Pandava army, beautifully organized and ready, King Duryodhana went towards his teacher, Dronacharya. Look at this moment closely. He doesn't send a messenger. He doesn't command. He walks towards his guru. Why? Because at that moment the ego was trembling. The man who had everything, soldiers, elephants, wealth, and power, is suddenly insecure. That's how the ego behaves in every one of us. It appears strong, but when faced with truth, it looks for validation. When righteousness stands in front, the ego searches for someone to justify its actions. That's why Duryodhana runs to his guru, Drona, not for advice, but for reassurance. The second sloka is not just a battlefield scene, it's a mirror of our inner world. Inside each of us, when our Pandava side, the side of truth, stands ready, our Duryodhana begins to panic. He looks for an excuse, for support, for validation. That's the moment the inner war truly begins. The Pandavas and Kauravas are not just two families. They are two sides of our consciousness. The Pandavas, self-control, wisdom, truth. The Kauravas, desire, ego, and attachment. And Duryodhana's first move in the war? Not an arrow, not a sword, but a word, spoken to justify his fear. In life, too, our first reaction to challenge is never wisdom. It's emotion. Fear speaks before courage. Ego speaks before truth. And that's what Duryodhana symbolizes, the first voice of fear in the battlefield of life. How many times do we, like Duryodhana, look confident outside but panic inside? When life challenges us, we look for someone to agree with us instead of correcting us. We seek justification, not truth. That's when our inner Drona, the intellect, listens silently, waiting for us to realize. The Gita begins not with courage, but with confusion. Not with clarity, but with confrontation. Because growth doesn't begin with answers. It begins with questions. The second sloka reminds us, before any battle outside, the first war always happens within. In the next sloka, we'll hear what Duryodhana actually said, and how his words reveal the true face of ego. Because sometimes, even confidence hides fear.